Hello, welcome to Culinary Classics. My name is Guy Tino. I'll be your guide today. We're basically going to talk about 3 ways to make sauces. This can be kind of confusing, but I'm going to make it as simple as I can. The 3 sauces we're going to go over today are simply reduction. Just going to take heavy cream and reduce it so it's thick enough for sauce. We're going to use roux, which is flour and butter. We're going to thicken some milk with that and make a cheese sauce, and cornstarch and water and orange juice, and we'll make a nice little orange glaze. So let's get started. The one that's going to take the longest is the reduction sauce. So we'll start there. We're just going to take some cream, put it in this pan that has lots of surface area. That'll allow the cream the most, it'll reduce the quickest with the most surface area. So while that's happening, we'll talk about roux. Roux is butter and flour cooked together, and it's equal parts butter and flour. So we have a tablespoon of butter. We'll plop it in here. You don't want it to burn. Well, if you wanted to, you could let it burn, and then you have a little bit of a nutty flavor in there, but we're not going to let it burn today. We're going to make a blonde roux, okay? And a tablespoon of flour. Put it in there. Whisk. One of my favorite tools, and we'll whisk it up. See that there? Just going to let it cook a little bit. And a raw flour it certainly has a taste. So you kind of want to cook the rawness out of the flour, but you don't want to cook it so much that it browns. Sometimes you would brown it. A lot of Hispanic sauces or Spanish sauces have used brown roux. Just going to add a little bit of milk at a time. That way there's no lumps. If I put all the milk in at once, it would be lumpy. We don't want lumpy sauce. So a little bit at a time, let it thicken. The interesting thing about both roux and cornstarch sauces is that they're not complete until they've boiled. They're not going to get any thicker once they've come to a boil, but they need to boil to get as thick as they can. If you can see inside there, it's starting to thick. It's really nice and smooth for the most part. Or whisk out any extra bubbles. Just a little bit more milk. A little bit at a time. Tempering the sauce. Whisk it out. Let it come to a boil. Oh, our water has come to a boil. I'm going to put some pasta in there. We'll make some mac and cheese. Grandma's wooden spoon. Just as a side note, that water is heavily salted, almost as much as an ocean water. Whisk this nice and hard. Oh, see how thick that is? It's come to a pretty good boil. I'm going to add a little more milk. I'm going to let that come to a boil. I'm going to switch these pans here to give our reduction sauce a little bit of a chance to catch up. Okay, now while our bechamel, or thickened milk, comes to a boil and gets to the proper consistency, and our reduction sauce, just heavy cream reduced, comes to temperature, we'll move on and we'll start talking about slurry. In this cup, there's just water. Just simply, oh no, pasta's sticking. I'll give it a stir. Okay, it's just water. I'm going to put in a little bit of cornstarch. Take a spoon here and I'm going to make a slurry. This also helps the sauce not have lumps. See that slurry? Not quite thick enough for what we're trying to do. A lot of Asian sauces call for this type of thickening. This orange sauce that we're going to make here is basically a sweet and sour sauce. Orange chicken is what we're going to make here. Let's thicken this up. Okay. We can see our cream is starting to boil a little bit. Our bechamel is coming along quite nicely. So what we're doing, this is just a demonstration. You can make all kinds of sauces with these basic principles. You can thicken essentially any liquid with cornstarch without changing that liquid too much. This orange juice is going to taste essentially like orange juice thickened. So that's one option. Moving on to the roux. Roux is really going to change the texture and the flavor. It's going to add a little bit of depth. That's another option. If you want to thicken a gravy, that's a good way to go because it makes it nice and rich. And then on the other hand, this reduction sauce, it's great with heavy cream. It's getting away from me here. Here, I'll show you a little trick. I'm going to move it to the side here. So only half the pan is on the heat. And it will just kind of roll over on itself and it will thicken nice and you don't have to worry about it because it'll boil over. The reduction sauce, you can reduce basically anything into sauce. If you have a chicken stock or a beef stock that you've made, the ones from the stores, you can't really